Okay, we're almost there, guys. Kuf Nun Hey Amid Beis. We're about 7 lines up from the bottom. We're discussing force-feeding animals, or feeding chickens. And the Mishnah had said that you can't mix the bran and the water together. So Amar Rabbi, you have to mahalkedim tarnagolim, you can feed them, but you can't go ahead and mix the bran and the water together. So Amar Rabbi, Amrisa Kamei Dimar Masnisan. I said in front of Mar, that's usually Rabbi, Masnisan money. Who's the time of the Mishnah that you can't go ahead and mix and put them together? Now notice, you're not kneading it, guys. You're just mixing it together and you're not kneading it. Yet the Mishnah doesn't allow you to do it. So who's the Tana that would not let you put the ingredients together if you're going to go ahead and it, even if you're not going to knead it? Who is that Tana? The Amr Li, and Rabbi said to Abaya, it's Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda. It's the Tana Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya, Echad Noisin is a kemach. If one person goes along and puts in flour, Echad Noisin l'toichei mayim, and another person puts inside water, ha'achrin chayiv. The last one is chayiv. Divrei Rebbe. These are the words of Rebbe. Right? Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, Aimer, ein chayiv ad sheyigabel. He's not chayiv until he actually kneads it together. So therefore, over here, when the Mishnah says one person can put the water in, and one person put the bran in, but you can't knead it, must be what? It must be according to Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda. He lets you kind of come and let you put it together, and without need. And this, he said, you're only chayiv if you need it. So over here, you're not needing it. So who's the Tana who allows you to do that? It's Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda. Says the Gemara, no. Dilma, maybe our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yehuda. In other words, I can be machalik between flour and bran. Over there, he argues on Rebbe, who said even you put it together, you chayiv, only regarding flour, which normally is needed. Dibar gibelhu, that you go ahead and knead it together. So therefore, you're not chayiv till you need it. But bran, avbar gibelhu, that's not something that you usually need. Ken Zayin, I feel Rabbi Yossi Yehuda Maida. Rabbi Yossi Yehuda would say just putting the water and the bran together would be kneading. So it's not lav dafka to say he's the Tana of our Mishnah. However, the Gemara says Loisal Kedaitach, that can't possibly be pshat. The Tanya Behedya, because we learn openly. The Tanya Behedya we learn openly. A Noistin Mayim Lemorsin. You can't put water into bran. Divrei Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda. These are the words of Rabbi Yossi Yehuda. These Rebbe. These are the words of Rebbe. Rabbi Yossi Yehuda, I meant no. Noistin Mayim Lemorsin. So the Tana of our Mishnah who allowed you to put it together was Rabbi Yossi Yehuda. In other words, in this brisa, it says it openly. It's not, and it says it by bran, not by kemach. So there's no distinction comes out in maskana between bran and kemach like Rabbi Yossi Yehuda. Okay, Tana Rabbanon. Now there's something called kali or kelly. We speak about parching grain. You would put grain. I think it's similar to Cracker Jacks. You put it in the oven. You put some oil on it. You heat it up. It gets nice and plump, and that's called kelly. It's I guess the closest thing you ever had a good Cracker Jacks. You know that coated candy coated popcorn peanut enterprise. That's what you get. Remember that prize? You thought who
That's
knows?
What you get in Cracker Jack.
It was like a penny or two, and you're busy rubbing your hands in there trying to get it out for what?
For a real metal piece.
That's where most people get the licenses from.
I failed to understand what you just said. What did you just say?
I said that's where most people get their licenses from.
What, from Cracker Jacks?
Yes.
Okay, just drive and watch yourself.
Avrami, they took you on a trip today?
Yes, for that nasty joke last night, I stole 4 grab bars from your basement.
Okay. Enjoy your trip.
Okay. Notice he's wearing clothing tonight, Aryeh. Anyway, back to the Gemara. Turn our button. In Gaivlin Esakali, you can't knead this toasted grain, right? You can't knead it. V'yeshayim Gaivlin. Others says you could. Man Yeshayim. Who's the Yeshayim who say that you could? Some Rav Chistam and Aleph. That's Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda. It's Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda that says adding water to flour isn't kneading, right? Ahani mili demishani. This is only if you go ahead and you make a you make a shinoi. By the keli, which is usually not so needable, you make a shinoi. Heichi mishana, what should you do? I'm Rav Chisda al yedei yad. You go ahead, do a little bit al yad, do a little bit at a time. The Shavin, both the Tanakam and Rabbi Yossi, they both agree. The sheboichin es hashosis b'Shabbos. Shosis, which is some type of drink made from keli and vinegar and some other stuff, that even though you're able to go ahead and stir that on Shabbos, you're able to stir it on Shabbos with a spoon, which is, Rashi says is like kneading. V'shoisin zaysim hamitzri, and you're able to drink Egyptian zaysim, it's a type of beer that would use for medicinal purposes. Nonetheless, since people go ahead and drink it, otherwise you could drink it. Fred the Gemara, how can you tell me that the Tanakama agrees you can go ahead and knead, right? How can you say that you could knead shasis for Amid Ein Goivlin? Above he said you can't. Now shasis is made, guys, with this keli, this parched grain. So Tanakama said no. Rabbi Yosef Yehuda said yes. Umoida, and they're both moida that you could knead shasis. But you just said above you can't knead keli. So what's the distinction between keli and shasis? And for the Gemara Lekash, it's not a problem. Chaba Ava. The first time he said you can't knead it, it's speaking where it's very thick. It's very thick shasis, and therefore it's similar to kneading, to lush. Chabiracha. The second one where you're stirring is very thin shasis. And since it's thin shasis, it's not similar to lush. Heichi mishani. Mani mili the mishani. It's got to be that you go ahead and make a shinoi. What is the shinoi in making shasis? Rabbi Yosef, b'choil noisenes a chaymitz, v'achkach noisenes a shasis. B'choil, first you put in the chaymitz and then put in the shasis. And the Shabbos, noisenes a shasis, v'achkach noisenes a chaymitz. You switch the order around. We had that earlier by, remember, massaging with the oil. So normally you first put on the oil and then you massage. So he said, what do you do? No, you massage and put on the oil, or you do it b'bas achas. So you do shinuyim. Levi berei de Rav Huna bar Chia ashche legabola de beinashia. Levi, the Rav Huna bar Chia, he's found the mixer of his father's estate. There was a mixer, a guy who would mix the animal fodder. He found him. What was he doing? The kagabel v'safilei ture. He was kneading bran and water together. Again, no one says you can knead it. Everyone said, but the chiddush was you could put it without kneading, right? No one said you can knead it, but this mixer was kneading it on Shabbos. And what was he doing? And he was feeding it to the ox. So Batash Bey Levi kicked him, showing that what he did was wrong. So Asa Avu Ashke's father of Huna Bar Chia came and he found him. Amalei, Hacha Ama Avucha Di'imech Mishmei Derav. This is why your father of your mother said the name of Rav. Umani, and who is that? That's what Rabbi Yomi bar Abba. And who is it? It's Yomi bar Abba. Okay, that you can't. He's the one who said, I guess you can't put bran and water together. You can't mix it together. Okay, he's saying maybe you could. What's he saying? Who is it? No. Goivlin v'lei masvin. You can. Here's the pshat. Goivlin. You can knead it together. V'lei masvin, but you can't go ahead and push it down their throats. Udalokit belishnei. And if it's a young calf that doesn't want to eat, then you can go ahead and put it a little bit on its tongue to go ahead and get it to eat. You can force it in. Mahalkatin lay, you could then you can force it down. And immediately the mishani provide you mishani, hechi mishani. How do you go ahead and be mishana? So Rabbi Yomi Rabbi Shalom Mishmei Dabaya shasi v'erev. You could do it shasi v'erev. Frag the Gemara, if you do it shasi v'erev crosswise, v'lei ma'arav shapi, it's not going to mix together well. So Rabbi Yehuda menarei lekli goes ahead and shake it up, and it'll get mixed together well. Okay, listen, I'm going through this Gemara quickly because, again, frankly, I don't know too much about animals, feeding animals, and you're as interested in this as I am, and we're going to go right.
Where's
the
Maish?
other questions, right?
Where's Maish?
Maish is there.
Yeah.
He's right there in the lower box there. But
Maish, you want to fill us in?
no, Maish is into wild animals. He's not into domesticated animals.
Okay, good.
Give him a lion, give him a tiger, give him an alligator in Texas, but he doesn't need this. Okay. Now, Ksiv apinkasei de Ziri. Now, Ziri was written on his pinkus. They would write down things. So it was written on his pinkus, right? What was written on his pinkus? Amri Kodem Rebbe, I said before, my teacher, Umani, who was his teacher, was Rabbi Chia. Ma'ul Gaba, what's the halacha about kneading on Shabbos? Asa, he said it's Asa. Ma'ul Farek, what's the law of transferring food from one animal's pail to another? Mutter, he said it's not a tircha. To put from one pail to another, that you could do. Rav Menashe, chad kamei chad. Let's say you want to put one portion in front of one animal and one for the other animal. Trey kamei trey, 2 portions for 2 animals. Shapidami, that's not a tircha. Tilsa kamei trey asa. But to give the animal an extra portion, that's considered a tircha. You say it. That's considered what? An extra tircha. To go ahead and put 3 in front of 2, that would be an extra tircha. The Vesef no. Kav afilu kabayim. You can feed an animal a kav, even 2 kavim. And Ula Amar Korv afilu kurayim, which is a huge amount. Now that's right on the pinkus of Ziri. Kasava pinkus of the Levi. What was written on Levi's pinkus? Amri Kamei Rabbi. I said in front of my master, Umani Rabbi, Rabbeinu Kodesh, it's Rabbi Yudah Nasi. Al the having government shisim b'Bavel, people would go ahead, they would need their shasas in Bavel. Rabbi and Rabbi would go ahead and protest. Umani Rabbeinu Kodesh, right? Al the having government shisisa, that they used to go ahead and need shasas for Leshem Yalei, and no one's listening to him. He didn't have the power to stop it. Because of what? The ruling of Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, who said you could need shasas. Remember, you could need shasas. So in other words, they had Ayesh L'mal Lismoich, so they weren't able to go ahead and even great Rabbeinu HaKadosh was able to stop them from needing. Again, they had animals. This was again, having animals, having a farm, these halachas that are unique, you have to know these halachas, you know? They're unique halachas that apply to animals, which we don't, again, or farmers, you know, there's certain halachas, many halachas that they have to know that we, not that we don't have to know them, but again, in practice, we don't practically practice them. Okay, another pinkus. Ksiva pinkus of Yeshua ben Levi. Haiman de bechad b'Shabbat. Now, this has nothing whatsoever to do with animals, but it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. Ksiva pinkus of Yeshua ben Levi. Haiman de bechad b'Shabbat. A person's born on Sunday. Yehi gevar v'loy chodebei. He'll be a man, v'loy chodebei, but there won't be any chodebei. We'll see a pshat in this in a minute. My v'loy chodebei, what do you mean there won't be any anything in him? What does that mean? If you say it means he won't have one amount of goodness. I was born on a Sunday, and obviously Rabashi had a lot of goodness. Elalav chad levisha, meaning he won't have any trace of badness. Ivam Ravashi, another dimi bar kukisata, I and dimi bar kukista, havi b'chad Shabbos. We were both born on Sunday, excuse me. Ana melech, I'm a king, I'm the head of the yeshiva. Vu havi reish kanvein, this person, bar kukisa, right? This bar kukisa, this dimi bar kukisa, he was a head also. So each one of us was the head of a yeshiva, one was the head of the rabbis. So what does it mean that b'chad? And it says, Gemara ella equally the tiva, equally the bisha. It's either totally good or it's totally not good. It's totally good or totally not good. So Sunday, it seems to be that it's the beginning of the week, right? Let's see Rashi. It's the beginning of the week, and you'll have a oneness about you. You'll have a uniqueness about you. It says Rashi, it's a person who will be complete in one midah, but not another. Well, come on, Mefarish Lava Azal. For who Reish Ganvei, the man de Bechad B'Shaba Yehi Reish. He'll be a Rosh. Kemosha Ayom Rosh LaMaisa Bereshis. Just like Sunday is the beginning of Maisa Bereshis, it's first and foremost, right? So too, the person born on Sunday will. I guess this person is like a type A personality. He'll be either or. Miu Shamamina the Nolden but Sadiq and Rishayim. In other words, if type A personality, if he uses this for goodness, he'll be totally good. If he's not, then he'll use it for totally for bad. It's just there are people always say about these people, they're not halfway guys. They're very, 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 very focused on whatever they're doing. So if they're focused for Ra, they're Ra. If focused for goodness, then they're totally good. That's a Sunday person.
I was born on Sunday.
And there you go.
And Benji was born on Tuesday.
We discussed this already. You remember this from last time?
No.
I remember.
But you don't
well.
remember. You probably did the daf today, and
Yeah, it was okay. And I called Benji today to tell him he's born on Tuesday.
we always call Benji Tuesday's child, but at least we're getting ahead of ourselves. So let's go a little slower.
We'll see.
We have to digest this Gemara. We have to go over it again. Now,
When you're totally bad, you can't hold it back.
There you go. Now, so what's the reason a person born on Sunday will be like to be extremes? The Ibru Bei Or B'Chayshech, because on Sunday was created light and darkness. So right, you'll have light for goodness. And as a matter of fact, guys, Rashi says on the pasuk, Vayavdel Elokim Bein Or Ben Achoshech. You know what Rashi says? That it was Mavdil the Or, that the Or that's Doimlit Tzadikim, he put it away La'asad Lavai. He was Genuz La'asad Lavai. And the Rishayim are compared to Choshech. That's the way the Maral explains the Rashi. So it's very geshmak with this Gemara. Or and Choshech are created. One person will either be Or by nature, he'll be either totally good, or Choshech he'll be totally bad. And it's very geshmak with the Rashi on Al Torah, who explains Vayavdel Kim Ben Rabbi Choshech to mean he was mavdil between the Or, which was for the tzaddikim by putting it away, and for the Rishayim not getting it. Haiman de betray b'Shabbat, someone who's born on a Monday, Ye Givar Ragzan, he'll be an angry man. I checked, Benji, I was born on a Thursday, by the way, right away. I got to this Gemara, I checked. You can go to Google what day were you born, put your birthday in. I was born on a Thursday. So I know I'm saving myself from some person making fun of me. So now, if you're born on a Monday, you're being an angry man. My timer, Mishum de Ifluku Bei Maya. Vayhira Kia B'Sochamayim, Vayavdel Kim Ben Amayim L'Moyim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu separated between the water on top and the water on the bottom. So it's very geshmak, guys. Machloikis was created that day. In fact, guys, it doesn't say Ki Toiv by day number 2. Says the Kliyaka. Why? Because Machloikis was created that day. So you can't have Toiv stated that day. It's very, very geshmak. Very geshmak. Machloikis was created that day. You can't say Ki Tov. Very good. A person, Machloikis and anger will be created that day. That's Monday's child. Hi, man. What about a Tuesday child? Ye Gevar out there. He'll be a wealthy man. He'll be wealthy. But he'll be a noyef. He'll be a person involved in snus. My timer, Mishum de Ibru Bei Asavim. Asavim were created that day. So they if you look at Rashi has an elaborate pshat. The Ibru Bei Asavim, the Chsiv, Tatshei Aret, earth should give out a covering. Who Davashe Paravarava. It's the first thing with a life cycle. It'll propagate. Ma'oid. Umimaher legadel, it grows quickly. Ulitzmoach. To Indian pritzos. So to go ahead and go quickly and to multiply, it seems to be an Indian of pritzos. Like Lishnachina, like Siv Liminehu. It doesn't say on day number 3 Liminehu, by Asavim. It says it by fruits and vegetables. It doesn't say by Asavim. Liminehu means you stick to your kind, your wife, and nobody else. But since by Asavim it doesn't say Liminehu, in addition it says Kru Revu, so therefore you'll be rich like Kru Revu, that it multiplies, you'll have a lot. But you won't stick Liminehu, you'll be promiscuous. Okay, now, Haiman de Ba'arba B'Shabbat, someone who's born on a Wednesday, Ye Gevar Chakim V'Noher, he'll be a wise and radiant person. Why? Because he, obviously my timer, Mishum de Itlu Bei Ma'oires, because on Wednesday, the Ma'oires was set in their place. According to Rashi, they were created day 1 and set in their place on day 4. Haiman, this person, Haiman de Bechamesha B'Shabbat, a person who's born on a Thursday, Ye Gevar Goimel Chasadim, he'll be a person who goes ahead and he does Chasadim. He'll be a Goimel Chesed, a person who's born on Thursday. Right? My time, what's the reason? Mishum Ibru Bei Dogim V'Oifos, because on Thursday the fish and the birds were created, and says Rashi, Shein Torchim La'Oichlin, there's no tirchin feeding them, El Nizaynim B'Chazah Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Both Dogim and Oifos, they get fed by the goodness of Hashem. So the person similar to Dogim of Oifos, he'll be what? A benevolent Baal Chesed. Says the Gemara, Haiman de Mali Shabbat, someone who's born on a Friday, Ye Gevar Chazron. He'll be a Chazron. What does that mean? Number of Nachman by Yitzchak Chazron the mitzvahs. He'll be very, very astute and go ahead and performing mitzvahs as they prepare for Shabbos, right? We had the Gemara earlier, yes, in Kuf Yotes, how each one of the Amaroyim would prepare for Shabbos. One would be Machver the Roish, one would go ahead and press the clothing, one would go buy food, once they prepare the food. You see, they're always busy doing mitzvahs. So this person, Friday, since we're busy doing mitzvahs, right? In Eretz Yisrael, it's so beautiful, the stores close down at 12 o'clock. In Eretz Yisrael, they close early. The Mamish people should get ready for Shabbos. So therefore, they'll be chasm b'mitzvahs, they'll be chayser to do mitzvahs. Hayman b'shabbata yehei, someone who was born on Shabbos, b'shabbata yomis, he'll die on Shabbos. Al da'achilu lave Yomi Rabbi the Shabbos, since he had to desecrate the great day of Shabbos. Since Shabbos, they had to have what? It was born on Shabbos. We just had a perik pervelez of the Mila. It's not possible. So therefore, he'll die on Shabbos. Amar Rabbi of Shila, the Kichu Rabba Yiskare, and he'll be called a great man. He'll be called a holy guy. Amar Rabbi Chanina, Poik Amrulei Lebar Levaya. And this was the pinkest of Yeshua ben Levi. So Rabbi Chanina said, go tell Rabbi Levaya, Yeshua ben Levi, Loi Mazel Yoim Goyrim. It's not the mazel of the day that causes you to be a certain way. El mazel shah goyrim. It's the mazel of the shah. Now let me get my card. Do you remember this little card? Okay. We said there are 7 mazalos. There's the sun and the moon, and the 5 planets that are visible to the eye. The acronym is Shamsam Chanchal. So you had Chama, you had Noiga, which was Venus, you had Koichim, which is Mercury, you had Levana, the moon, you had Shin, which is Shabsai, Saturn, you had Sadik, which was Sedek, Jupiter, and you had Mem, which was Ma'adim, Mars. You might recall you can't bloodlight on a Tuesday because the even hours of and we said Zugos are not good, even hours fall out on Madim. They fall out during the even hours when the Madim is ruling. So we don't bloodlet during the bloody planet, the blood planet. This being born at this time, and these change every hour, guys. This goes ahead and affects your mazel. Not the day that you're born, but the sign you're born under. That's what affects you. And that's what the Gemara is going to go ahead and deal with now. He said this is the, and now we go through it. Okay, starting off. Hayman El Mazel Shagarim. Hayman de Bechama. Let's say you're born by the Chama, by the sun. Ye Givor Zivsin. You'll be a person with you'll be you'll have a shiny appearance. Ye Achel Midilei. You'll eat your own food and drink. Uveshasa Midilei, and drink. For Roizi Galion, and your secrets will be revealed to all. Im Gonev Lematzliach. And if you want to steal, you won't be successful. Because everything is, the sun is everything is luminous. Everything is seen by everybody. Hayman de Bekoichev Noiga, someone who was born during the planet of Venus. Noiga, Yehi Gevar Ase, this is Tuesday. You'll be a wealthy guy. This is a Noihade. Well, my timer, Mishum Desyal Beinura. It seems that Venus is the you have a fire burning in you. Isn't Venus the god of love in the ancient mythology? Is that true? Yeah. Here's a song. I'm your Venus, I'm your fire, right? That's the song. Okay. Anyway, so I have to check. Dr. Ben? Black Straps. Is that the song? Hello?
I don't recognize that song.
You don't recognize Venus? I'm your Venus, I'm your fire, joy, desire, no?
No.
Yeah, that's right.
The goddess on the mountain, climber, jumping like a silver flame, no? And Venus was her name, no, she's got it. Oh, Dr. Ben, I'm shocked.
I'm losing it.
Dr. Ben, you are. By a show of hands, how many people remember that song? Let's go, let's get the reaction. There you go, there you go. Actually wrote the song, forget about remembering it. Anyway.
Is that Kalbach?
Kalbach, yeah, Kalbach. Hilly, you knew the song? Dr. Hilly? That was way before you were born. Look at that. You know,
even I know this song. Yes, yeah.
Okay, so you see that what Venus is mamish it has a fire burning in you. So the source is from the Gemara, guys. It's not the Gemara to get it from there. The mazel of Venus causes a person to have a certain disposition to znus, because they have a bigger taiva than other people. We know each person has an akudas abachira, and we're going to see that you're not limited to your mazel. But the sign you're born under gives you a certain disposition, a certain way. It makes so much sense. Fellas, Yaakov and Esau were born the same day, right? Yeah? But they must have been born right when one mazel was one way, Mars for Esau, and then it switched over for Yaakov, because they were two totally different people in nature. One was an Isayid, and one was a Yoshev Ahalim. It was a different nature. Why? So you see that it's not contingent upon the day as much as the hour. And therefore the mazel was at that time worked for that particular time. It would make a lot of sense. Okay, continuing on. So Haiman de Bekoichev, if a person is born during Koichev, which is Mercury, Yegivar Nohir V'Chacham, he'll be a radiant and wise man. Mishum de Safra de Chamahu, because Mercury seems to go ahead and follow in the path of the sun. Haiman de Levana, you want on the Levana, Yegivar Savil Marin, you're a person Nebuchadnezzar Yisurim, Bana B'Sasir, you'll build and it'll go down. Sasir Bana, you'll go down and you build. Just like the moon is constantly renewing itself, getting sick, Kaviyachim, when it goes away, getting better, back and forth. In other words, the moon is always changing. So this person's mazel always changes. Right? Achel delay, that doesn't belong to him. V'shasi delay, Al-Jigwa doesn't belong to him. V'raz the Gasian, his secrets will be concealed like the moon at times, and Ganef Matzliach. And if it will be a Ganef, it will be Matzliach. That's if you're born under the sign of the moon. Haiman de B'Shachsai, let's say you're born under Saturn. Then Yehi Gavar Mechashvosei Betelin. You'll be a person that whatever you think about, it'll be batel. Well, why is this? Why is this? Because I guess Shabbos, right? Rashi says Shabbos, it means to stop. The Istiami called him a Chashmin Allah Betelin. Anyone who plots against him, they'll go batel. Haiman de B'Tzedek, a person is born on the Tzedek, Yegivar Tzadkin, you'll be a man, you'll be a Tzadkin. What does that mean? It's Tzadkin b'mitzvahs, you'll be a Tzaddik b'mitzvahs. Haiman de B'Ma'adim, a person, this is a very famous Gemara, a person is born under the sign of Mars. Guys, what is Mars called? The red planet, correct? Mars is called the red planet. Why? Because Yegivar Ashidama, you'll be a person who spills blood. When Shmuel came to anoint David, he came to Shishai, he went through all the 7 sons and he wasn't there. And then David shows up, the Navi describes him as Admoni im Yifei Nayim. So the Velt mistakenly says he was a redhead. It doesn't say he was a redhead. He said it was Admoni im Yifei Nayim. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Shmuel, Kum, get up. Why did he have to tell him, get up, ki zehu, that he's the guy? Because when Shmuel looked at David, he saw a murderer. He saw David had this, he was born under the sign of Madam. He spilled blood. And Hashem told him, it's true, but he has, Admoni guys, im yefei nayim. He's a murderer, he's an Admoni, but im yefei nayim, he'll only kill with the consent of the Sanhedrin, who are the eyes of Klal Yisrael. It's a beautiful Gemara to explain and understand this idea, this concept. So David subjugated his ability. He fought all the wars that Shlomo wouldn't have to fight. David was the warrior. He was the quintessential warrior. This was his nature. But look, he took his nature and he went ahead and ran with it rather than use it for evil. And that's what the Gemara says right now. Ravashi, if a person is, he should be a bloodletter, ganva, or he should be a ganef, tabacha, a shoichet, moila, or a moil. These are things that you could use if you are born under the sign of ma'adim. Amar Rabba, ani b'ma'adim havoi. I was born by Mars, and I don't spill blood. That's what Rabbi said. So Amar Abaya, mar nami onish v'kato. You also punish and kill. Those people go ahead and go against your halachas. You have them put to death. So you are guilty of that too. Guys, there's a Chasam Sofer here that when I saw it years ago, I went out of my mind. Listen to this. One of the most famous Gemaras in Shas is Rabbi and Reb Zera at a Purim Mesiva. What did Rabbi do to Reb Zera, guys? He shechted him. Then what happened? When he woke up and he saw what he did, he brought him back to life. And then what did he do? He invited him back the next year. And Rabbi said, no, I think I'm going to skip this one, right? So what do you see Rabbi's base nature was as soon as he got drunk, guys? He went back to his base nature of being madden, of murder. Isn't that a politic Chasam Sofer? Isn't that a politic Chasam Sofer? Unbelievable.
Beautiful.
So what does Rabbi say?
I can't.
With the tabachim, that wasn't Rabbi that was going to walk past the tabachim and to give him the chance to apologize. right? And who's it? Someone said that he's going out to go kill whoever it was because he knew that they weren't going to apologize, and therefore that tabach was going to be. In other words, he made fun of him. He showed disrespect, and by walking by and by not the guy not asking Mechila. Okay, it's a Gemara. I think it was Rabbi.
So according to some Sefer Rabbi, how come Rabbi is saying he's not a killer?
Because he never killed.
Why? Because he brought him back?
No, by nature he wasn't a killer, and this Maisa could happen before that Maisa. This could happen before that Maisa, but again, when you're drunk, it comes down. The wall comes down. This Maisa could have taken place before.
They were arguing about shchita. That's why he killed him. It wasn't just he killed him. It was
right. The Gemara. Yeah, the Gemara wants to know. No, I'll tell you what it is. In Chulin, we have a Gemara. Steve reminds me of it. The Gemara has a shaila. If you have a hot knife, no, and you put it right, does it separate and does it touch it now? And we said he should know because he was shechted, right? That's the
right. The blade or the heat.
Right. That was the Gemara. Excellent. But I'm saying it's fascinating how I had this all twice together. I think my son Moshe is having problems with his phone. He's off. Okay. Anyway, Mike, you want to call me? Somebody's here. Who's that? Just 1 second. Hello? Yeah, I'm in the middle of a share. Can you call me back in about 9:30? Okay. Yeah, just want to make sure much. Okay, so it's a great shot. It's a great shot. Itmar, Rabbi Chanina says, Mazel machkim, the mazel you're born under can go ahead and figure out if you're going to be a chacham. Mazel masher can figure out if you're going to be wealthy. V'yesh mazel Yisrael, and you are affected by your mazel. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, ein mazel Yisrael. Rabbi Yochanan says, ein mazel Yisrael. We're going to get into this a little bit. Rabbi Yochanan goes according to his reasoning. Dam Rabbi Yochanan, minayin shein mazel Yisrael. How do you know there's no mazel for Yisrael? Shneimar, koyamar Hashem el derech hagoyim al tilmadu. Hashem says, don't go use the ways of the nation. Don't fear the signs of Shemayim. For the nations, they fear them. They fear them, but not you. So, ein mazel Yisrael, you're not subject to your mazolas. Va'af Rav Sova ein mazel Yisrael, and even Rav Sova is ein mazel Yisrael. Don't Rav Yudah Marav. Minayin shein mazel Yisrael. How do you know? Shenemar v'yotzei asa chutza. It says HaKadosh Baruch Hu took Avram Avinu outside. The background is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Avram Avinu says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, "Matitin li v'anochi holech hariri." Why do you give me? I will go barren. Uben beisi yorishosi. And it says v'yotzei asa chutza. And looked at Shemayim. Usipara kechavim. And so it says, he took him outside. What does that mean? He took him outside. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Ribbon Shloila, Ben Beisi Yarishosi, Some Leilav. So only some will come from you. Amal Fan Ribbon Shloila. Nistakalti Bitzag initially. I looked at my astrology. Ve'eni Roy Lohilet Ben, and I'm not fit to have a son. So Amalei, say Mitzag Shalchad. Don't worry about that. Shein mazel Yisrael. You're not subject to the mazel. My daitcha. What's your das? Amid days. The koyit tzedek, right? That koyit tzedek in Ma'ariv. When you were born, that Jupiter was in the west, and therefore it made you that you would never have children. Madranu u'achmina le mizrach. I'll go ahead and I'll put it in the mizrach. V'ayim d'chsev min ha'eyed mi mizrach tzedek yikreu l'ragloi. He woke up tzedek from the east, right? Why? Because he called it for Avram's sake. So therefore, Rav apparently is saying ein mazel Yisrael. So what's the whole inyan of mazel? And what do you mean yesh mazel Yisrael, ein mazel Yisrael? So I do believe that a person has a certain inclination in nature, and certainly we know that things are predetermined by a person's birth. Who a person is going to be smart or strong. The only thing is that you're Shemayim. That's in Yibiyadcha. But mazel there is now. What it means, however, ein mazel Yisrael means There's mazel, but you're not limited to your mazel. You can overcome it. You can overcome it through tshuva, u'maisim toivim. It's a toisus in Moed Cotton. You could overcome it with tshuva, maisim toivim. Mishana makoy, mishana mazel. Right? We speak about mishana shem, mishana mazel. In fact, fellas, if you look at Rashi and Chumash, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Avram the following: Avram ein loy ben, Abraham yesh loy ben. Sarai ein lo ben, Sarah yesh loy ben. So you see that what? It wasn't that the mazel wasn't in place. That mazel was in place. However, you're not subject to it. We changed the mazel. A person sick, we add a name. We change the mazel. So it doesn't mean ein mazel Yisrael, you're not subject to it at all. It means that you're not limited to it. A guy, whatever the mazel is, that's it. We know. We go ahead. There is mazel. However, we're not subject to the mazel. Things can change, and that's going to be pshat. As we go through the next piece of Gemara, you'll see it's fantastic. Now, there's a Ramban on the Torah. Ramban comes in Perek Yud Zayin and Bereshis. He comes to go ahead, and he's going to tell Avram two things. His halach l'fanav is Somim. He's going to do a bris milah, and he tells him that Sarah is going to have a child named Yitzchak. And he pierced him for the first time, and he's Ani Kel Shakai. I am Kel Shakai. So the question is, what does the name Kel Shakai mean? So the Ramban brings a few pshatim. The lashon of Kel means toikif, strong, like Kelei Moyav, means strength. But the name Shakai. So Mefarshim say Shedai. The word is dai, that's the shirish, and the shin is the prefix. Shedai. There's enough for his mitzias for the whole world. Hashem is so infinite and benevolent and so huge. If everything in the world, Hashem could be there. There's enough. Ramban says something fascinating. He says it comes from, it's part of the shirish. It comes from the lashon of Shodei, Shaddai. Shodei means to be victorious. He says it's the name that Hashem uses to be Shodei over the Markos HaShemayim. You have the Markos HaShemayim or the angel Shemayim, or another way of saying your mazel, your angel that's in charge. But the name Shakai means Hashem overrides that. So what's going to happen now? You weren't supposed to have a kid. But what's Hashem going to do now? He's going to override that with the name Shakai, and you're going to have a son. You're a mazel. You're not limited to it. That's why the name Shakai is used there, based upon the Ramban. So therefore, in other words, a person should never give in to the fact that this is the way I am. That's what I'm supposed to be. You live your life. You do what you got to do. You serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You do the mitzvahs. And whatever falls your way is going to fall your way. And you have to be talking that Hashem is going to give you exactly what you are supposed to get. And that is again, I'll repeat it a million times. I have to live it. You have to live it. You have a choice. But you're never limited. You're never limited to your mazel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives Kol Shekain a mazel Yisrael in a global that Klal Yisrael is not subject to a mazel. The nation Klal Yisrael is not subject. There's no Sar Shel Esav. There's no Shal Shel Moyav. There's no Sar, that mazel in charge of that particular nation. We're on the Takash HaSkachash HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But Ein Maz Yisrael, even on a Yechidistic level, not at Sibudik level, you're not limited to your mazel. That's Pshat Ein Maz Yisrael. Now, a few great examples of it is the following Gemara.
Like,
Yeah.
I want to say one thing, that the pasuk Mir Mizrach Tzedek Yivreil L'Rago, that is the haftarah for the pasuk you read. It's Lech Lecha.
Yeah, that's the haftarah of Lech Lecha.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, but you would.
Yeah, it's the only thing I do know.
That's the haftarah of Lech Lecha. Excellent. Then you have a nice shtickle Torah. You have a nice shtickle Torah. You could say it over by your kids by mitzvah. Grandson's by mitzvah. You have a grandson getting by mitzvah, don't you?
It's Hashem, year and a half.
They're going to ask you to speak probably. So write it down. You'll forget it by then. Okay.
Sorry, you have a pen?
Guys, you good? It's Geshmak Pshat, yeah? We're all good? Okay, great. Now, Shmuel v'Avleit haya Yasvei. Shmuel and Avleit was sitting. Now, Yavleit seems to have been, we met him earlier. He's a guy. He's a guy, he happened to be an astrologer. He was the Gene Dixon of the time. If you used to read the New York Post, Gene Dixon was always there. So he was the astrologer of the time. And listen to the story. Shmuel v'Avli hoya yasvei, they were sitting. V'abikoz hanich inish la'agma. He was a person who was going to cut reeds in the swamp. He was a reed cutter. Amalei Avli Shmuel haygavro ozlav loyasi. This guy is going, but he's not coming back. Why? Tarik le chivya. He's going to be bitten by a snake. Umais, he's going to die. He's going to have some swamp snake get him, and he's going to die. Amalei Shmuel, Iba Yisrael hu ozlav loyasi. If he's the by Yisrael, he's going to not only go, but he's going to come back. So they're sitting there like at a, let's see what's going to happen. So, Adi Yasvei Ozlav Yasi, come, he came back. So come Avleit and Shade Latuna. He was carrying his reeds, and Avleit took the reeds on his back that the man was carrying it, and he threw it down. And Ashkech Bechivya, and they found it in a snake. The Pasik Vishade Bitarti. It was cut in half, like Guvi. Probably what happened when he was cutting the reeds, guys, probably with the sickle, he cut the snake in half. So I'm like, Shmuel, what did you do? So I'm like, Kol Yuma Havi Marin and Rifta Bahadi Adadi. We are the swamp guys, swamp reed cutters. We have a communal pot, and we collect bread for each other. V'achilna. It was one of us that didn't have bread. So he was embarrassed. So Amina lahu, I said to myself, Anoki I'll go, Varmina, and I'll collect it. When he got to this guy, Shava Nafshoy, he made like he took it from him. In order he shouldn't be embarrassed. Amalei, Shmuel told him, Mitzvah about it. You did a mitzvah? Nafik Shmuel Vidarish, Utzedakah Tatzal Mimabes. He said, Tzedakah can save him less. So what's Pshat? The Mazel guys, the Mazel attack on this guy, he was supposed to die that day, right? Because the snake was supposed to get him. But what did he do? Maisim Toivim. So what do you see? What did I tell you? Hey, Mazel Yisrael, you're not limited to your Mazel. You can overcome your Mazel. Maisim Toivim, he overcame his Mazel. Very Geshmak of Shan in the Gemara. Says the Gemara, V'darish tzaka taltzim maves v'loy memisa mitshuna elo memisa atzma. Umid Rabbi Akiva nami ein mazel Yisrael. From the very famous Ma'aser Rabbi Akiva, also we're going to learn ein mazel Yisrael. From a very famous Ma'aser Rabbi Akiva, we're going to learn ein mazel Yisrael. What's the Ma'aser? To Rabbi Akiva havilei barta. Rabbi Akiva had a daughter. Amilei Kaldoi said in astrology to Rabbi Akiva, Hachu Yuma, the Ayla Lebe Ginana, the day that she goes to the bridal room, Tarik Lechivya, snake's going to bite her. Umisa, and she's going to die. Havi the Iga Amil Satuva, Rabbi Akiva was worried all the time. So I have written down over here, why was he worried? Why didn't he just give tzedakah or tell her to give tzedakah? If tzedakah is tatzal mimavis, guys, right? So why didn't he go ahead and tell him to give tzedakah? So the answer is...
Was his daughter's mazel or his mazel?
What?
It was his daughter's problem, not his problem.
So why didn't he tell his daughter to give tzedakah? So I have written down, if he would have told her, that level of tzedakah would have not have been of enough as chus, because it would have been prompted by his knowledge. It had to be something that she herself did, sichalein, without. In other words, there's different levels of altruism, right? So the fact that if he would have told her, it would have been a mitzvah, but not as great as a mitzvah. So it wouldn't have been enough to go ahead perhaps and save him.
Save him. Mm-hmm.
It's a very geschmack. So now the great Rabbi Akiva was worried. Guys, you want to tell me Ein Mazel Yisrael? Rabbi Akiva, they were killing him with combs of iron in Gemara Menachos. And that didn't bother him. He wasn't worried then. He was saying Kriya Shema. He was so happy. And why is he worried now? He's worried about his kid, like every normal father. The great Rabbi Akiva. He's worried about his kid. And if there's no Mazel to Yisrael, why is he worried? Ella, what's the answer? There is Mazel Yisrael. But what's the answer? You're not limited to that mazel, as we'll see. Hahu Yuma, that day of a wedding, shakalta limach banta, she took a brooch, she took some type of pin, did sasa beguda, and she stuck it in the wall, in Isrami that Isyase be'eni dechivya. It penetrated the eye of the snake and it killed the snake. That snake that was going to kill her, she went ahead and killed it, not knowing. Litzafra ki kashaklala. The next day when she pulled this thing out, havikasarech, the snake was stuck to it and it came out with it. The asi chivra basra. It came after the pin. Amala avuam, what happened? So Amalei, Vipanya in the evening, Asya Anya, we were busy with a wedding. Asa Anya Kara Ababa, an Ani came, knocked on the door. Babi treated the Kuli Alma Bitsubas, everyone was busy eating. But look at the Shamas, no one heard him. So Kamina, I said, Shaklase Liristane, I'll go ahead and what will I do? I'll go ahead and I'll take my portion, the Yavsli, and Yav Nali, the portion that was given to me, I'll go ahead and give it to her. That's what I said. So Amalah, mitzvah about it. You did a mitzvah. Not only in other words, not pshat, it saved you from a misa mishuna, but you would die a normal death, a more desirable death, but saves you from totally dying. In other words, guys, it changes the mazel totally, not just a little bit. When we Reb Nassim by Yitzchak Nami, a mazel Yisrael. The aim of the Reb Nassim by Yitzchak, Amallah Kaldoi, said a Caldonian astrologer to her, Brech Gan Vahava, your son's going to be a Ganef. Loisha Vaksi Gali Reisha. She did not let him go with Gili Roish. His whole life, he wore a yarmulke. His whole life, he had something on his head. Amallah, she told him, Kisei Reishech, cover your head, Ki Hechi Tithavilach Imsush Tishmaya, that you should have Ema of Shemayim on your hand all the time. Uboy Rachmi and Davin. Do that, wear a yarmulke and Davin, and you're safe. He didn't know why she told him this. Yumachad one day, Yosef Kogoris Tute Dikla was sitting underneath a date tree. Nafal Glima Melavei, his glima, his type of head covering that he was wearing fell off him. And Reshe, and Dali Eine looked up. Chazil Dikla, he saw the dates. Alme Yitzra, his Yetzirah took over him. Now this date tree did not belong to him. Salak, he went up and paske lekabure b'shine. He mamish bit into the cluster with his teeth. So you see that he stole as soon as the Yer Shemayim was off his head. As soon as the Yer Shemayim was off his head, then he returned to what? To a base nature. There's a unbelievable Rebbe Chanan. The word in the pasuk, Nasa Adam, we will make man. So the famous Rashi is, who's the we? It's Hashem and the Malachim. Hashem and the Malachim will make man. So the Rebbe Chanan says, Nasa Adam is going back in the pasuk before. Now, because Shavayasel Kim is called Behem of Chayas Hasadeh. So Nasa Adam is going on Hashem and all the Chayas. We will make man. Man is what? He's a combination of everything. We see that man can kill. Cain, the first man, had a desire to kill. The first person born naturally had a desire to kill. He killed his brother. Where did that come from? Because man is a combination of all the creatures that were created before, is in man. How do you go ahead and have a lion? How do you go ahead and protect yourself? You need an iron chain. You need an iron cage. The iron cage for man is Yireh Shamayim. If you don't have Yireh Shamayim, you could be the biggest ganef in the world. There's nothing about Yitzchak, you have Taifa Geneva. Like Elena, you can be the biggest murderer in the world. How do you explain a Hitler? Hitler killed, I don't know how many people. How do you explain a Stalin? Between Stalin and Hitler, you may be responsible for close to 40 million people dead. And not that long ago, within the last 75 to 80 years. How is that possible for people to kill so much? Because a person without any Yireh Shamayim is an animal. He has built into an animal. Says the Gemara of Nasim by Yitzchak, Yireh Shamayim, you cover your head. It reminds you, the Tana, the Amoira, again, left his head for a minute. His base nature was to be a Ganef. And it went right back to that. Eimazli Yisrael, right? If you do something to go ahead and subjugate it. If not, you do have a mazel. We'll stop over here. B'ez Hashem, we'll see you tomorrow at 8:30.
Sure.